Hello everyone and Happy New Year by the time this video comes out. If you were with us last year, you'll know that we did a Best Indie Games of 2021 video, and that was absolutely amazing to do, and I thoroughly enjoyed getting in contact with so many amazing friends and collaborators that we had worked with over the course of that year. Doing a very similar thing to that this year with our Best Indie Games of 2022, and by God there was a lot of amazing games. Last year we had a few people pick the same game. This year it's absolutely phenomenal. By just pure luck, everyone has managed to pick a singular game of their own and there's been no overlap, so that's absolutely amazing. So there's so many indie games that we have to show you this year, and there's some even that I absolutely adored that didn't even make the list. So there's a lot of ones that even I didn't even know had come out this year that I really am eager to check out now. This has been an amazing year, I think, for Gaming Sandbox in general. We've had a lot of fun experimenting with different content. It hasn't been, I think, the peak at which we can get to yet. This next year coming up, obviously 2023, I'm really excited to see what we can create, what other ideas can come out of it, and kind of just rolling back the channel a little bit to try and kind of focus on a few niche areas that we want to look at in particular, so that we can really focus on that content primarily. But that's all for a different video anyways. We have some amazing creators coming up next who are going to tell us about their favourite indie games of the year. If there's any we missed out on, please let us know in the comments below, but without further ado, I'm going to let you jump into it.
My indie game of the year this year was Immortality. Developed by Sam Barlow and published by Half Mermaid Productions, this interactive film was unlike any I was able to get my hands on. You get to explore the lost footage from 3 separate films in order to find out what happened to our lead actress, Marissa Marcel. You get to explore the dress rehearsals, the line reads, and the auditions, as well as any director's notes that you can find, and all at your own speed, given that you get to use an image search in order for you to decide what from what scene you want to follow. Would you like to see what other scenes have that exact window in it? What about a bird, a fruit, a flower? What about a specific actor? It is all up to you. You get to decide exactly how you want to write it out. The interface in this game is just amazing. The storyline and the plot was nothing anyone could have prepared me for. It is not what you expect, and that's the beauty of it. I really hope that you get the chance to try out my indie game of the year, Immortality.
When I look at unique games, the first one that springs to mind, especially for this year, is Beacon Pines. It's my favourite game I've played, just came out this year, and it's honestly so interesting. It's a very cutesy game to look at. Like, you play as a cute little kid named Luca, and he has 2 cute friends, and they're all small animals, and they live in a society in the woods, and it's, it's pretty much what you expect when you think of kids' fairy tale stuff. The animals live in a wood together and everything's going all that. But like underneath all this skin, it's a very creepy, pseudo-Lovecraftian mystery where there's a lot of power and there's a lot of corruption, with a unique mechanic that allows literal branching paths that's done in the style of a tree. You play as both the narrator and the characters. It's wonderful. Definitely check it out if you have the free time. Definitely worth it.
My top indie game from 2022 is Grapple. If you haven't already played it, I really do recommend it. It has the greatest music of any game I've ever played. It's got the cutest wee characters, the funnest wee dialogue that really just doesn't sound like words. And it is just a cracking game, so go out and get it. This'll do. Cheery bye.
I'm gonna say is my indie game of the year is Monster Prom 3 Monster Road Trip. It's the third one in the Monster Prom series, of course, which is among my favorite indie game series ever, to be honest. The original game I've played a lot. Like, they're cooperative, kind of like wacky, fun little games with some more adult themes in them, but they're like the first one's a cooperative like dating simulator, and so is the second one, and they're just goofy, they're a lot of fun, they're just full of memes, quite frankly, and I've spent a lot of time playing them with friends. And I played the third one this year, which is more of like a survival game. It's like a road trip survival game where you have to manage resources and stuff as you kind of like go different paths. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, you know. It kind of keeps what was good about the series and kind of moves it in a slightly different direction that might be appealing to a different group. You know, if dating sims and kind of like visual novels aren't something that you personally enjoy, this kind of does things a little bit differently and is a bit more of a competitive edge to it, where the other games also have that, but in a very different way. You know, you can potentially be that player who wants to derail something, or you can even just fully work together, whereas before you were kind of mostly separate. Yeah, it does a lot of things differently with the formula, and I think it does it quite well. So I think that would be my personal one for 2022.
Is absolutely Chained Echoes. It only came out a few weeks ago, but I've already fallen absolutely in love with the game. The story and characters are so compelling, and they grab you right from the start. Not to mention all of the unique aspects of the game, such as the airships, the mechs. There's so much to love about this game that's very distinct from a lot of other games in the same genre. It does have very much a Chrono Trigger-esque vibe to it. It really captures that retro essence that a lot of people loved Chrono Trigger for, while still being very distinct of itself. If you love older JRPGs such as Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, or even newer ones that are inspired by those such as Octopath Traveler, then Chained Echoes is absolutely a must-play for you.
My choice for Indie Game of the Year has been a challenge, as the majority of my top 10 has been indie games, and there's been a struggle to put them into any real ranking. But I've settled on this the last few weeks. I've pumped hours into it. Vampire Survivors. When this first dropped on Xbox Game Pass, I looked at the screenshots and decided, nope, not for me. But then I saw a few trusted Twitter sources recommending it, so what the hell, I gave it a shot. And mio dio, this game is crack. After the first 2 rounds I was addicted, and it only got better. With new weapons to unlock, new characters, secret levels, some form of story trying to find the Dracula, each relic you pick up changes the nature of the game in some way going forward, such as the map to then locate additional relics, etc. This, along with buying permanent upgrades using game currency earned, means it's not the same experience each run, and you do feel you are progressing. While the graphics look like something from an Atari 7800, this certainly wouldn't be playable back then. The amount of everything on screen at once is insane. I honestly can't remember the last time a game had this much concentrated fun. It's simple but wondrous, so yes, 10 out of 10. This isn't a meme, it really is that good of a game.
My indie game of the year for 2022 is Metal Helsinger. The perfect combination between first-person shooter and rhythm game, It was just nail on the head for me, and I can't wait to see what that studio does next. But that's all from me, so cheery bye.
In a year that has honestly been mixed for me, the indie experience that stands out most to me was Forever Entertainment's remake of the iconic The House of the Dead. It's a title that lovingly recreates the entire start to finish of the fantastic arcade rail shooter with modern visuals, a new score, and voice acting. The game's by no means perfect, but the sheer joy of revisiting the iconic Kyrian mansion and challenging myself to save every scientist or explore every pathway has kept me coming back many times. Blasting the hordes of the undead with both weapons new and old feels as good as it did back in the 90s. The newly added Horde mode is a wonderful, if ridiculous, challenge. Playing the game with the controller feels good, and the motion controls are a fun option as well. And not to mention, a buddy can jump in at any time and join you on this brief but highly replayable journey. And additionally, this has revitalised my interest in the light gun genre, and given me renewed hope that this timeless and wonderful genre can come back swinging. We're already confirmed to be getting a House of the Dead 2 remake, and I'll be there day one.
My indie game of the year was nearly Stray, because I bloody love cats, me. But Paradise Marsh was something special. It's developed by Lazy Etty. The premise is super simple. You wander around a marsh, you get lost, you catch bugs, and you replace stars in the sky. The older I get, my taste in games are changing, so I'm less interested in the AAA experience, if we can call it that. So the fast-paced multiplayer. It's not really tickling my noodle much at the minute. So I find myself gravitating towards indie games that have some sort of emotive trigger to them, for want of a better word. So last year we spoke about Flynn Son of Crimson quite a lot. That reminded me of being a kid with a Mega Drive. Spiritfarer is a really lovely game that kind of sensitively deals with death. And Alba, a wildlife adventure, is a very calm and peaceful game just to be in. And that is pretty much why I love Paradise Marsh so much. It's a very serene and gentle game. And I mentioned in my Indie Choices review that it reminded me of somewhere that I go locally, where I go if I need a mental health reset to feel like very mindful. I just go there in real life and in the game, in Paradise Marsh. I just go and sit and listen to the bugs and the birds, and it's very quiet. There's no kind of distractions or anything. I can just be present and very mindful. So kind of when I mention about indie game experiences, I could not care less when people bang on about 60 frames per second, ray tracing or any of that stuff. Indie games, much more than that to me. They're so much more about these kind of emotive experiences, and that's pretty much why Paradise Marsh is my game of the year, because it's not super complicated when it comes to mechanics. It's just a really wonderful experience. It's only a couple of hours long, but it's such a wonderful place to be in, if that makes any sense at all. If it doesn't, I'm sorry, because I've been ill for 2 weeks and I've gone crackers. But I say I'll certainly recommend anyone picks it up and gives it a go, because it's lovely. Again, very sorry. I'm doing very poorly and I've lost my mind. All right, all the best.
The indie titles that came out this year were certainly many, and though the indie titles I actually found the time to play was unfortunately few, there is most certainly one title that stands above the rest for me of the ones I played, and one that found me really at the exact time I needed it when it came out, and that was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. I'm not a particular fan of the sort of side-scroller beat-em-up genre, and I'm also not really a big fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I mean, like I said before, this game really just found me at the time I needed it the most, amidst a really busy summer. I mean, there's a lot of great narrative games that came out this year, a lot of really great games that experiment with design and structure and mechanics, but I mean, something that was just unbridled, unlimited fun in the visage of a game like Shredder's Revenge was really what rescued my tireless nights of the summer. I mean, just the blast from the 90s was very welcome. I love the sound effects, the music, the animations from all the characters make them all stand out in such an awesome way. Lots of replayability, lots of depth to the combat, a surprising amount of it. Even on like the third or fourth playthrough, my friends and I were still discovering sort of new interactions between the turtles, sort of chain combos you could pull off and hidden animations. It's just honestly crazy, and evidently a lot of love goes into the game, and it's certainly appreciated when, you know, I come home from work or whatever and there's Shredder's Revenge waiting for me with no other expectation than just to play it and enjoy the heck out of it. And I most certainly did. So that's Shredder's Revenge. That is my indie game of the year.
As I said, thanks a million to everyone who was involved in this year's video. We had an amazing level of people that came and got involved. Some people unfortunately weren't able to make it, but they will be featured, of course, later on the channel in the coming year, because we're hoping to bring back the podcast with more sort of content about just talking about games that we absolutely love and adore, because realistically, indie games are the whole premise of this channel. We want to venture into more sort of bigger games as well, but indie games are what really drive the passion for this channel, and of course a lot of the creators we've just seen there as well, absolutely adore them too. Speaking of those creators, if you want to check them out in any way, shape or form, you can do so. They'll be either, depending on whichever way this camera is set up, be on my left, kind of scrolling down through you, but if you're looking to find any of their social links, they'll be all in the description down below as well, so please be sure to give them a look, because everyone featured in this is an absolutely fantastic creator, and they've made some amazing stuff this year, helping to promote the indie sphere in whatever way they can. But with that being said, thank you so much for all your support over the last year in 2022. It was an absolute blast. We've definitely got new stuff coming up, a lot of big project videos that I'm working on editing at the moment that should be out over the course of the next few months, which is fantastic. With that being said, thank you so much again. We'll see you all in the next video in 2023.